Speaking of Braun, 21-11-7, we'll go back downtown. He is speaking with Mike Trudell.
LeBron, you've said throughout your career, it's all about adjustments in the postseason. What did you guys do after game one to get this result in game two?
We understood that it was a playoff game. I think that's the difference.
So much that you have to put into it on both ends. Can you take me through that play, though? You have a turnover, and Anthony Edwards has the ball at midcourt. Where did you see you were going to be able to step in there, get the ball, and finish?
Just trying to make a play. That was a big possession right there. They had numbers. I didn't think he saw me, in the rear view, so I was able to jump the pass lane and also make the layup.
You guys put a lot into it defensively, LeBron. What was the key on that end, and where did it come from the collective as a unit?
I mean, that's what it's going to take. They play hard as hell. We got to play hard as hell. They play with a lot of intensity. We got to match their intensity. So, I mean, it's going to be like this all series.
What are you starting to learn about Luka in a playoff context as a teammate as you guys grow in that way?
Nothing. I've watched it for 7 years, so nothing at all. Luka is Luka.
Last one for you. Key as you head now fly to Minnesota for game 3 and 4.
Hostile environment, but we got to come in with the same mindset as we had tonight. Understanding it's a playoff game. No possessions we can take off. We got to play with intensity, energy, and effort. You're not dog-ass tired after this game. After any of these games, then you didn't give it all you had, so that's what it's about.
All right, go get some rest.
The bad news for the Minnesota Timberwolves is there were 3 days between games after game 1. So the Lakers got to read and hear about and watch on TV how they were out-physicaled so badly in game 1. And I thought J.J. Redick set the tone right after that game 3 days ago. He said, we need to think of it as a playoff game. We thought of this as a regular season game. Tonight was a playoff game. And the Laker defense was incredible. 85 points for Minnesota. After losing to this team by 22 a few days ago, season low for the Timberwolves, no less. Lakers forced 3 turnovers in the final 3 minutes and also blocked Julius Randle's shot to end another Minnesota possession. Great job by Laker D. Alley. They won the game tonight down the stretch.
I think, too, speaking of down the stretch, you think of execution, which was a big focal point coming into this series, as J.J. mentioned before, even game 1. And you speak of the defense that you guys have all alluded to and discussed. You just mentioned it was a season low in points for Minnesota at 85. By the way, they held the longest active streak in terms of points scored over 100 at 59 straight games. You hold them well below that, 15, obviously, in a playoff game. Big game. How do you now take this and translate it to the road here in the postseason?
Yeah, it was good that they had that type of game in game 2 when they really needed it. So when you hold a team that low in points who are used to, it sends a message. Okay, it's like, what, they only scored 85 points?
Yeah.
So they know the defense can be sticky. It doesn't throw game 1 out the window, but they know the Lakers aren't who they played in game 1. So they know what they're up against now. And when you go on the road, if you take that kind of attitude and that kind of physicality, that kind of defense on the road, they remember game 2 when they only had 85 and they weren't getting open shots and they weren't getting uncontested shots and they weren't getting anything easy. It starts to play, and that's the beauty of a 7-game series. You got the same team every night. You ain't got to worry about, traveling different cities. You playing the same players, and that's what makes it tough. That grind. You got to play against the same guy. He knows what you're doing, and if the Lakers can keep this type of defense going, and rebounding, it's going to fare well on the road.
I think for me, you look at guys like Nas, Reaves, and Conley. The 2 of the guys are kind of like the backbone. They're kind of the glue for them. I think they kept them off kilter. I think Conley had 0 points. Nas Reaves was in foul trouble. And we're always going to talk about Ant-Man. We're going to talk about Julius Randle. But you got to let, I always call them the others. And, I call them the specialists. You can't let Daniel and these guys get off. And tonight, the Lakers were able to not let these guys get an impact on this game. And for me, that's what it's all about. Because everybody knows Ant-Man going to get his, Julius going to get his. But those other 12 guys, 13 guys on that team, whatever you want to say, you can't let them have exceptional nights because you go back and look at what Nas Reed did, 6 from 9. Look what Daniels did, 3 from 3. You negate that, you get a win.
Look, it wasn't always pretty. You point to a guy like Jaden McDaniels, who was a lot of talk coming out of game one, and rightfully so. He had 25 in game one on 11 of 13 from the field, 3 for 3 from deep. Much more attention to him, obviously, from an intensity standpoint. And you see the result. Naz Reid, the same thing. We always call him the Laker killer. Tonight, not effective or impactful. I do want to kind of go to the flip side of all of this, obviously, from an offensive standpoint, because it always wasn't pretty either. But I will say the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were 20-1 when holding opponents to under 100 points. The Lakers with 94, led by Luka. A lot of talk coming in. How would he respond? He put it on himself. He had 31, 12, and 9. The 9 assists is what I am looking at, obviously, because just 1 in game one.
Mm-hmm. Key point, Allie. He distributed the ball. Obviously, he's a threat. But, when he's a threat, collapsing the defense and finding guys, that makes, everybody gets involved. And I thought he did a good job of distributing the ball, early in the game, getting Gabe shots, hitting his own shots, and just, taking advantage of the mismatches that he had, even over Gobert right there. So, yeah, assist tonight for the Lakers was way better than it was 23 tonight. So versus 15 and the one he had. So, yeah, that ball's got to move. The defense for Minnesota is too good to ISO too much. It's got to move, and things really Finney. Guys get cuts, backdoors. So that's the key. It's good to see he's, distributing the ball like he can.
JJ, when you spoke to us after game one, you kind of went right to the physicality is the biggest thing. Did you notice that from the jump, and did you feel like that was the biggest difference between the two?
We were very physical tonight, as were they.
What do you think adjustment-wise? What was something that you felt like worked for you guys as you held them to in the low 80s in points?
Again, we were physical. I think, playoffs require a different level. And like I'd said pregame, it took us about 2.5 quarters in game one to get to that level of physicality.
JJ, it was, I think, midway in that third quarter. They cut it to 11. You seemed like you were trying to get you guys to run a play, sideline, you call timeout, pretty animated. What led to that frustration, and what do you think of the response from the team to, I think, increase the lead back up to 20 in the aftermath of that?
Not frustration, just coaching. I think when we were organized in the right spots. We ran some good stuff, and frankly, I thought we missed some open threes. AR got some great looks. So, other than, just a couple, kind of disorganized plays, we played good offense tonight. And there was, you as a coach, you can see it coming when the other side of that is on the horizon, and it was building, and just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page.
Just to kind of follow up on that, you guys had 58 points in the first half, 36 in the second half. How much of that was just, you felt like the shot quality was good and missing open looks?
I don't know what our turnover total, I know we had at least one shot clock violation there in the fourth. And I don't know what our turnover total was in the second half, but I can think of 5 or 6 plays, Bron twice from 4 feet in the paint, Rui at the rim, LeBron from the corner, Doe with a couple great looks from the corner. Again, we're going to live with that process and live with that result. And I think it's fair to say we won the game with our defense tonight, but our offense had a lot to do with that. Not allowing them to get out in transition. And when they did, as AR did late in the game, taking the charge, we were able to stop them from scoring, or in some cases stop them from even getting a quick shot up, and then they had to run half-court offense. So I just think as much as it was the defense tonight, our offense actually helped quite a bit with some of the transition stuff.
JJ, Rui got, to your right, Rui got banged up, has to put a mask on. At one point, he throws the mask off, keeps competing, gets fit for another mask, and he's battling on the block. He's going into the lane on offense. He's trying to get offensive rebounds. Just how do you think his effort typified the shift you guys wanted to see in physicality tonight?
Yeah, he played like a warrior tonight. I'm sure that he's probably in the x-ray room right now. But he did a lot of really good things. I think when we watched the tape, there was a few plays that he made, just getting deflections and disrupting plays, leading to late shot clock possessions for them. Some plays at the rim, that don't show up in the box score, but he was awesome tonight.
JJ, minus some, I guess, anomaly minutes through 6 games against them this season. It's looked a lot like that in terms of low scoring and kind of a rock fight. Is it fair? Have you seen enough in the series to kind of anticipate it's going to look to some degree like this moving forwards?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you can sort of anticipate that, but we weren't ready for a rock fight to start game 1. So, I've seen enough of these and been in enough of these that, you can have these low scoring games and sort of low offensive output games that are really physical. And all of a sudden somebody starts making threes. There's a few turnovers that leads to a high transition half and somebody scores 120. That's just kind of how basketball works. Every game is a little different, but I think, the mentality for both teams is to have a rock fight.
JJ, the timeout you were discussing a few minutes ago got a lot of play online because the TV captured some very colorful language. And obviously the guys can handle a few curse words, but yeah. I'm just curious, when you do call a timeout, you do see that tide starting to turn, you want to make an impact to have the kind of run you guys had afterward. How do you sense when to really lay into them, and how do you sense when to not, so that you're not just always barking?
Yeah, I mean, I've done that in a game a handful of times in 6 preseason games, 82 regular season. It was at 90 games. I've done it a handful of times. It's not something that I want to do. It's something I'm more than comfortable doing. But, I think tonight it was just more about getting that urgency button switched back on.
I think it's safe to say it worked. LBJ, the Lakers continue their playoff series with game 2 against the T-Wolves. First quarter, Luka here. Strong pass to LBJ for the layup. Good start. Moments later, this time Luka taking it upon himself. Fade away, middle of the lane. Lakers lead 13-5. Off the steal, defense to offense, big game Austin Reaves on the drive to the basket, but a nice kick out, tough shot there by Gabe.
Yeah, I just thought Gabe's presence early in the game gave the Lakers a lift. A guy off the bench coming in with some physicality on the defensive end and then able to knock down a 3-pointer.
Later, LBJ, high mid-range shot off the pick and roll, gets it to go. Next Laker possession, Rob. Nice ball movement.
Great ball movement. Find the open Luka. It all started with Luka, and then it made his way around, touched almost every player on the team. Outside of one, he need to get down, get there, knock down a 3-ball.
Lakers would lead 25-10. Timberwolves needed a timeout. Last minute in the quarter, Dorian Finney-Smith with a reverse layup.
That was the most fundamental play I've seen in a long time, Allie.
How about the shot clock winding down? Cross-court kick from Luka to Dorian. Top of the key, Gabe. Lakers up 34-15 at the end of 1. Second quarter. Perez. Austin trying to get in on the action.
Yeah, not a good first half for him in game 1. That's his shot right there. Create a little space, get just inside the free throw line. He doesn't have to shoot threes every time down the court. Just get the easy 2.
Moments later, 3-ball. LBJ over Julius Randle. Lakers up 22. Lakers ball. Big game Luka creating.
That's what he does best, man. He gets low with that little crossover, gets into the paint, step back with that high arch. That's barbecue chicken right there. Oh, Gobert was just dancing like a tap dancer.
Less than 5 minutes left, Rob. Luka finding Dorian Finney-Smith on the cut.
Yeah, great middle penetration by Luka. Dorian being smart enough to see Randall had his head turned. That back door for the dunk.
Does that count as fundamental too, Rob?
That was very fundamental.
Yeah.
Off a steal, Rudy Gobert.
This is bizarre.
Yeah, I was sitting right there in Rob's seats, and I saw that one coming. I was shocked that Gobert was able to do that.
Oh, final seconds of the half. Missed three by Rui. Offensive rebound. And one by Rui.
Rui had already left the game. He got hit in the face. Came back with a mask. Changed it out. Went without a mask for a while, too. Good physical play right there by Rui. He was fine.
Lakers have 58-43 at the half. Third quarter. Ant Edwards. Big game. Man.
Yeah. He has pogos for legs, man. When he gets in the paint and he rises, I mean, that's two-handed over Jackson.
Here, Lakers fall. Not an easy one, Rob, but Austin got it to go over Gobert.
Not an easy one. This is a horse shot right here. We said, okay, I'm going to go up, over, hook shot off the glass for two.
Later, Luka, drive, pull up over McDaniels. Bank is open. Next Laker possession. Dorian Finney-Smith, always ready. Catch, shoot, three ball, drains it. He wasn't done, Brez.
Yeah, we talked about Dorian before the game. Not a great game one for him. Much better. And LeBron just so ready in the lane. Always hands up for an offensive rebound. The Lakers much better on the glass tonight than they were 3 days ago.
More than halfway through the quarter, Luka showing off his ball skills, drives in the paint, gets the scoop and score. Laker ball here, Luka. Right in front of Rob's seats where Big was sitting.
Yeah.
How was that for you, James?
Right there in the big shot seats.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sharon.
More from Rui. Pull up jump shot.
Rob, can I send those seats? Game
No.
5?
Our favorite RH. Off the Luka lob.
Rob, how do you feel about this?
Lakers played 81-65. He says it himself. After three, fourth quarter we go. Rob, how about this? Austin around the defense. What?
Yeah, Austin was not very good at shooting it from the 3-ball night, but the 2-ball was falling for him.
Julius Randle. No contest. Knocks down the triple, cutting the lead to 11. Timberwolves starting to make a comeback. Jaden, McDaniels. It's the rebound off of his own missed shot. It's the jumper. You thought maybe they could make a run right here. But the Lakers, they would respond.
Yeah, there was a moment when they got it down to 11-13 and, it started getting a little bit scary, but then the Lakers did respond, Al, and they did it with some good defense and putting the ball in the right person's hands. It was either Austin, LeBron, or Luka getting the job done. There's Reaves with that little lean in off the glass. Take that.
Made it 90-77. And then here, up Luka turnover. How about this one? The King, defense to offense. Doing it all himself. Made it 92-81.
Give me that. LeBron looked like he was 22.
That's what I'm saying.
Instead of 42. Showing that speed.
See some Laker defense.
Here. Luka. Strong move to finish our, what we call cross rolls. The final, game 2, series tied at 1-all. Lakers take it 94-85 behind Luka's 31-12-9. LBJ adding 21-11-7. Austin 16-5-5. Lakers, shoot 45%. Only 11 threes combined in this one. Julius had 27 and Edwards adding 25 and 6. Nas off the bench with 9 and 2. Guys, want to give a little love to Rui Hachimura. What a night it was for him.
Well, he brought what he needed to bring, and that's his presence, his size. He's a guy that can be a bruiser in there. And, he was a little bit more aggressive early in the game than he was in the last game. There he is right there. Nice cut. He's capable of knocking down the three. I like that little 8-footer. But Rui's going to have to be one of the guys that, brings those shoulders and that beef to the game every night against his team. He's got to show that he's able to compete with that. Don't back down. He can score points, and he will. but most importantly, he's got to rebound, keep people, out of his space, and let the other team know that there's some physical presence there. He did a good job tonight.
Obviously, for Friday's Game 3, tip-off is set for 6:30. Our pregame coverage gets you started at 5:30. It's all right here on Spectrum Sportsnet, the home of Lakers basketball. We've got more to come. Luka, the Lakers, even things up with an impressive performance in Game 2. More post-game reaction on the way after the break. Arrowhead play of the game. Timberwolves not making it too hard on Luka. Wide open for 3. Big game.
Yeah, it started with Luka, and it ended with Luka. That was some good ball movement right there. Around the horn, they call that. Didn't hit the floor. Shifted the defense, and Luka was the recipient of a nice 3-pointer right there.
Made it look easy. 16 points, 5 assists for Austin Reaves in the win. He's speaking with Mike in the media.
Austin, pretty clearly the level of physicality went up for you guys. Was there anything defensively from an execution standpoint that you thought was different as well in Game 2 tonight?
No, I just thought we played harder. I spoke about, how they play every single game, regular season, postseason. They play hard as shit. And if you don't meet that physicality with physicality, then you've seen the result. So that was, an emphasis going into the night was, play harder.
Some looks from 3 that you usually hit weren't going down. Did you adjust and think about getting yourself to the bucket, getting into some of that mid-range action to get yourself going after that?
No, I don't really ever just sit there and think about, shots I'm going to take. If I'm open, I'm going to shoot it. If not, I'm going to try to, make a play for a teammate. Unfortunately, I got 4 good looks to start the game. Let's say 3. One is not that good of a look. I shot it anyway, but just didn't make it. And if you start the game over, I have those 3 looks, 4 looks again. I'll probably shoot the bad one again too. So, I trust the work that I put in. And like I've said a million times, I just continue to try to play the game the right way.
Rui left the game early. I did written first. There we go. Left the game early. Had to get fitted for a mask. He threw that mask off, ended up trying another one out, and he's still mixing it up in there, both offensively and defensively. What do you think of his effort in kind of maybe being an example of the type of physicality that you all were able to play with tonight?
Yeah, I thought, Rui was big for us tonight. He didn't get that many shots, but the physicality that he played with on the defensive end, even after, get hit in the nose, whatever the situation is, he came back out and it, didn't look like, anything had happened other than him wearing a mask. He was out there, competing his ass off every single possession. He had a couple really, really good possessions guarding Julius Randle in that third, fourth quarter, where he just stood his ground, made him take tough shots, and didn't foul. So he was big for us tonight.
After Minnesota cut it to 11 midway through that third quarter, I think about midway through the third, JJ was pretty animated after he called timeout. What was the message to the in the huddle after that timeout was called, and what you make of the team's response? I think you guys went on a 9-0 run to get the lead back up to 20.
Well, you were asking what he was animated about?
What was he animated about? What was the message in the huddle?
Play better. I don't know if y'all have talked to him. If he wants to say what he said, he can. Just say he wasn't happy, and we responded well.
Austin, you took that big charge when they were in transition. What did you see on that play? And just also LeBron had his steal with the finish in transition. I think it got to 9 at that point. Just what did you see in terms of your guys' defensive playmaking in crunch time?
I thought it was huge because our offensive playmaking in the fourth quarter was not what it usually is. I made a couple really bad plays. We had a couple turnovers, and in those situations, you just gotta, lay it all out on the line and do whatever you can do to, help your team win. And in the playoffs, you like I've spoke about, you win on, the smallest margins, or you lose on the smallest margins. So a play like that in that situation, everybody on our team's ready to, sacrifice their body to, get a win.
Austin, you guys, I think, counting the regular season, have played them now 6 times and have really struggled to score the basketball 4 of those times. What is it specifically about their defense? I know you guys have changed, but what they do defensively that's so hard to crack?
You can start with them having really good individual defenders. I know Jaden McDaniels is a problem on that end of the floor. Ant's a problem on that end of the floor in the kill. You could go through the whole line. Rudy does a good job protecting the paint. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch the game. I think that we got looks that we were happy with in a lot of situations. We just didn't make them. And but like I said, they're I think their identity is to play hard and be physical and do that on both ends of the floor. So they got a good group that guards hard. And we got to, be more deliberate on the offensive end to, get ourselves in good positions to be successful.
Around
2 questions. Dan has a follow-up, and then we'll
around mid-December, you guys started to forge an identity where you guys played really hard too. Like, it became kind of a core principal part of what this team was, and it's faded at times down the stretch. But I guess, how comfortable do you think this group was having to win a game this way? Tonight, knowing that you guys have won games this way at times throughout the season?
Like you said, we've done it multiple times this year. I think you could go back and throughout the midst of the regular season, you lose a couple games, and then you might not be playing as good as you want offensively, defensively. And the one thing that you can always, go back to is competing as hard as you possibly can every possession. And I feel like that's what we did tonight from the start, to, the end of the game. Every single possession, everybody was locked in. Everybody was willing to do whatever it took to, get this win. And it's got to be like that because they got a group of guys that's going to do that as well. So, we're comfortable with having to play like that.
That's the last question.
Hey, Austin. JJ said that there were signs that tonight was going to be different. Obviously, you guys had a great practice. I'm curious, was there anything said in the group chat or anything in the locker room pregame, or what did you see that let you know that the team's going to come out with a requisite physicality tonight?
I think it just goes back to the other night when we basically got punked. Like, you call a spade. They come in here game 1 and punked us, and you could tell from the energy in the locker room after the game that nobody was worried about what we have. We just had to go out there and like I said, compete every single possession. And, like you said, we had a really good practice yesterday. And that kind of just ensured, kind of where the headspace was and, the knowing of what we were going to have to do to come out here and get a win. Thank you.
Austin saying they basically punked us, Minnesota did in game 1. How would the Lakers respond? Well, we knew it would start with the big 3, and you see the results tonight. I think a big thing here was the way in which they kept the ball moving. 21 of the Lakers' 23 assists came from these 3. Big game, but specifically for Austin, 16 in game 1, 16 at 5-5 tonight. May have not, as Rob mentioned earlier, had the 3-ball going, didn't hit a 3 tonight, which we know he is very capable of, 38% during the regular season. But you think of the little things that he's able to do and willing to do, the charge late down the stretch.
Yeah, that's always a big part of his game. He might not be, hitting the ball through the basket as he wants. He has some good looks, too, wide open looks where he'll knock those down as the series goes on. But I thought he was tough as nails tonight. And I think he has the biggest challenge because he has guys that defend him a little bit stronger, a little bit taller, have a little bit more wingspan. They ISO him a lot, try to, take advantage of him with ISOs on defense. So, I thought tonight he was tough as nails. Started a little slow, but then when he got that first bucket to go through, you could tell that, he wasn't going to be, denied. So, yeah, it was a good game for Austin, especially on the defensive end, like you mentioned. Big charge. He always takes like a big charge at some point in the game. So, yeah, if he continues to just have that mindset, I think Austin's going to be fine.
Send that clip to the coaches. I bet they'll listen.
Yeah,
More to come on Access. The Lakers, even the series versus the Timberwolves.
Over here, Allie.
94-85 the final score. Luka Doncic speaks to the media after the break. Luka with a no-look here to Dorian Finney-Smith for the jam, Robert.
Yeah, right there. He got a little dipsy-do, jab, jab, jab. Worst thing you do, let the defender get to the middle of the paint. You know what, dude? Drop it off to your former teammate and your current teammate. So dumb.
Looks so nice. Back-to-back 30-point games to start his Laker playoff career. Luka is now speaking with Mike in the media.
Luka, a lot of you guys told us what you needed to do after game one, and it seems like you did that with the physicality and the effort on defense. Is there anything execution-wise that stood out to you on that end?
Are you talking about defense or offense?
Yeah, defense.
No, we did the same game plan. We didn't really change much. It was just the question of if we're going to be more physical or not, and I think we showed that. And we were there for 48 minutes. And we got big enough first quarter. I learned from the last game, and we just stick to it.
You of course have experience with Minnesota from last year. You know what it's like as they go throughout a series. Playing in that building? How do you feel like that energy is going to be as you go there 1-to-1?
Oh, it's going to be high. I remember that they have amazing fans and they're very loud. So from the first moment, they're going to make it, at some point they're going to make a run, but we got to stay together. It's us against the whole arena, so it's going to be very tough. I experienced that, and it wasn't easy, so we got to stay together no matter what.
Luka, they cut it to 11 in the third. You guys were able to push it right back. I think a 10-2 run. Then they got it to 9 in the fourth. Again, able to hold them off. What were those moments like for your group? How do you feel like you leaned on one another to make sure that it didn't get any closer?
Yeah, I mean, they have a great team, so at some point they're going to make a run. Just no matter how we responded. We responded by being who we are, and I think, like I said, I think we responded very well. And from on, I mean, to win a game, scoring 13 points in the fourth quarter, it's not easy. It was from defense and then going on from there.
It seemed like the team as a whole did better with getting deeper into the paint, and that kind of helped get Minnesota into rotation. The kickouts were there. You kind of led the charge in that. Was that a talking point over the last couple of days? And how much was that emphasized coming into tonight?
I think when we touch the paint, a lot of great things happen. Gets them in the blender, and we just got to do that more. Obviously we talk about it. Got to touch the paint no matter what. So that's what we're trying to do more, and I think we can still do a lot more than that.
Hey, Luka. You obviously played a lot of playoff games before you even got to the NBA, but now that you've had enough NBA playoff games under your belt, what have you sort of learned about when to stay calm and still versus when to really panic? Or not you ever panic, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not panicking, but, as me and Braun, leaders of the team, we got to keep the team together. Like I said, going into to Minnesota, it's going to be a war. The fans are going to be cheering like crazy. So, no matter what, we can't panic. We got to stay together, and that's on me and Braun to keep the team together.
Luka, you guys only had 15 assists as a team in game one, 23 tonight. You, LeBron, and AR each had 5 or more. What did you see in terms of just the ball movement, the playmaking, and just the way that you guys were organized offensively? JJ had mentioned that as a big thing.
Yeah, I think like when he asked me about the paint, when we touch the paint, it's a lot of openings, and like I said, we got to do that more. And I think we shared the ball great today, and we got to keep doing that.
Luka, vimos esa energía, qué tan físicos fueron en el primer cuarto, incluso la energía de la gente, tu celebración. ¿Qué mensaje se mandó desde el inicio imponiendo ese ritmo de lo que es esta serie?
Sí, hemos empezado bien los dos partidos. En el primero no continuamos bien, pero creo que hoy hacemos un buen esfuerzo para estar en el partido. Hemos jugado muy duro, 48 minutos, y eso tenemos que seguir haciendo. Y bueno, la gente estuvo en el partido y eso lo agradezco mucho.
Luka, buenas noches. Primero que nada, felicitarte por la victoria. Ahora es ganar el próximo jueves por allá en Minnesota, arrebatarles ese juego que les arrebataron aquí en Los Ángeles, ¿verdad?
Sí, queremos jugar, ganar todos los partidos que podamos. Como hemos hablado, va a ser muy duro ahí. He jugado ahí, sé cómo es y va a ser muy duro. Tenemos que estar juntos todos los 48 minutos.
Luka, tu experiencia en playoffs contra el equipo de Minnesota después de todos los juegos que has tenido contra ellos, como que ya te conocen, pero como que tú también los conoces a ellos, entonces se convierte en una lucha muy difícil para ti, pero también para ellos.
Sí, bueno, como hemos visto hoy, ha sido muy duro todo el partido de ambos equipos. Pero ir ahí, como he dicho antes, es muy difícil jugar ahí. Tenemos que estar juntos y no soy solo yo, es todo el equipo, tenemos que estar juntos.
Hey, Luka, over here to your right. Right after the trade this year, you watched this team play a couple games, and it was at the stretch of the season where they're kind of like defensive-minded, sell-out for every possession sort of mentality was really being forged. Do you remember when you saw guys like LeBron and Doe, but like Vanderbilt and Goodwin kind of flying around? Do you remember thinking about how hard the team you were joining was playing, and how valuable do you think that experience was tonight in a series where you're going to have to play that way?
Yeah, I think they were playing like that the way we play today. And I remember that we went on a 7 or 8 game-winning streak. We were playing this kind of defense. And when we play this kind of defense for 48 minutes, I mean, it gives us a really good chance to win.
And Luka, just to follow up on that defense, in the fourth quarter tonight, when they cut it to 9, Ant's dribbling down, and LeBron comes up and steals it. What did that kind of tell you about his effort and defensively?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great play. They were on a run, and, he made a great play. He made a winning play, and that's what I really appreciate of him.
Thanks, Luka.
Thank you.
Time for Big Shots Breakdown, and we are breaking it down, ball movement.
Yes, we're going to show you why the Lakers were successful tonight. They let the specialists play, and they moved this rock, and Big Shots Breakdown. Right here, you get AR coming off the pick and roll. Luka says, okay, I got it. What I want to do up top. We're going to have a back pick, or we're going to have right here LeBron with a curl. But no, we're going to have a Finney-Smith backdoor cut. Unable to handle it. Passes. Look, we just showed this and earlier, so y'all can see that now. But this is a better one because you already seen that like 10 times. But this one right here, you get a one-on-one. Luka sees the defense is going to try to double it. He jumps up, passes the ball to Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian gets he gets 1, 2, 3 defenders coming. It's about drive and kick. He drove, he kicks it to Gabe Vincent for a boom. Knocked down 3. Now, you got great here. AR is going to shoot it past Luka. Luka pump fake, jab step, gets to the middle of the paint. This is the biggest problem. Don't let someone get to the middle of the paint. Minnesota does. Dorian Finney-Smith reads the defense, cuts back door for an easy bucket. Now, we get another ISO situation. We got Gobert. You pump fake, gets it back, gets Gobert on skates. Gobert, what are you going to do? I'm going to get to the middle. We just talked about it. They got 1, 2, 3, 4 Minnesota defenders looking at the best man in the game. He gives it to Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith knocked down the 3. But as you can see in these clips, when you're able to get to the teeth of that defense, because we know how good Minnesota's defense is, it causes them to shift more and lose sight of their men. So you got to be able to do that. And it's going to be really important to do it on the road, Allie.
It is key. And I think it's for guys like Gabe, Benny Smith, Vanderbilt, all the other guys that aren't like, a main offensive threat, they need to get those back cuts that we saw. Some of those, and move the ball around, because Minnesota, like I said earlier, their defense is too good. They're too long. You got to move them around and make them be in positions where they can't help as much, and where they're not just straight up defending Austin Reaves, trying to shoot over guys all the time. That was a good example right there. Good pass by Luka getting to the threat of the defense. So yeah, good ball movement. I like, 2 or 3 passes sometime. We saw that one play where Luka started with the ball. It moved all the way around the horn, came back to him for a 3. That's the kind of movement that makes the defense shift so you can find those open shots.
Let's look at the series schedule. Next up, Friday, it's Game 3 in Minnesota. 6:30 start. It's right here on Spectrum Sportsnet. Game 4 from Minnesota on Sunday, 12:30 start on ABC. 5, of course, there will be one back in L.A. April 30th. And then 6 and 7, if necessary, May 2nd in Minnesota, May 4th. May the Force be with you in LA. 94-85, final score in Game 2 as the Lakers even this series. LeBron James up next. We'll hear from him after the break. Your Lakers won the game. You know what time it is and what that means. They scored you 2 free tacos with any drink purchased from Jack in the Box tomorrow. Just ask for the Lakers deal when you order. It's valid only at Los Angeles restaurants. Go Lakers and go Jack. I love it for LeBron. Let's hear from him with the media at Crypto.com.
Breakfast sandwich. That's what it's called. A croissant.
LeBron, you told us after game one that sometimes it takes a game or half a game to kind of recognize what you're in a playoff series. When did you know tonight that the team was going to be having the requisite response?
We knew yesterday at practice. We had a tough practice yesterday, and we went at it yesterday, and one of the best practices we've had all year. So we kind of knew coming out of that what type of disposition we had to play with. We watched film before practice. It wasn't good. Game one was not good at all. So we're all competitors, and so that's what it took.
I'm going to go through all of our beats first, and then I'll get to everybody else. Coaches.
The offensive organization was something that JJ talked about a lot, quite a bit actually, coming out of game one, even yesterday. How would you rate how you guys performed in that area tonight?
We could still be better offensively. I thought at times we were very sharp, but at times, we weren't. And I think, we could do a better job on the offensive end, but we're going to continue to get better, continue to watch the film, see ways we can, kind of break down the defense and continue to get good looks. I thought we had some great looks tonight. I know a lot of my shots in the fourth quarter were great looks that just didn't go. And if we can continue to, get great looks like that, I think we believe in our percentages. So we got to continue to work the habits. We got to continue to work the habits, and continue to shoot the ball with confidence.
LeBron, they only had 6 fast break points today after having 25 in game one. What was the biggest difference there in terms of transition?
Just sprinting the hell back. Giving up fast break points, obviously sometimes it's nothing you could do about it. If a long rebound happens, you got 4 guys on the baseline, long rebound happens, they're able to sprint out and get it. But, most of the time with fast break points, it's about energy and effort. And I thought our attention to detail and our attention to the effort, that side of the floor was very in tune with that. Like I said, game one, giving up 25 fast break points on the home floor was not an ingredient for winning.
Hey, Bron, on Mind the Game pod, you talked about how you live for this time of the year, calling it a drug. Obviously, you always talk about how important it is to stay even-keeled. You've taken teams to the finals 10 times, won 4 championships. After going down by as much as 27 points in game one, what was your message to the guys?
I think you just said it. Just staying even-keeled. Doesn't matter if you lose by 100 or you lose by 1. I mean, they both hurt. You can't sleep. So it's about how you stay even keel and then how you make the adjustments going into game 2, or game 3, whatever the case may be. So, I thought, we looked at what we didn't do so well, which was a lot of things in game 1. We took that to heart. We hold each other accountable. We make the adjustments and we had a better outing tonight. And now we need to be even better on Friday, going into Minnesota. So, that's what the playoffs is all about. But you got to be able to stay even keel no matter what's going on.
Hey, LeBron. JJ said he hasn't done it a lot this season, maybe about 5 times or so, but Minnesota cut it to 11. He called that timeout, and he was very upset. He said he wanted you all to tap into your sense of urgency. How much was that needed in that moment, and what did you think of the response?
I thought we responded, well, just from the timeout. We know JJ is going to spaz out from time to time. That's JJ, and so it's at this point for us is, obviously we need to listen to the message and not the way how he's delivering it, and for me, as my high school coach, my freshman year was kind of the same way. He would spaz out on us, and you have to be able to understand about it's not how he's saying it, it's about what he's saying, and I thought we responded after that.
JJ said he's only cursed a few times this season, so I don't know what to tell you. Talk about the love and how you get excited and up for every playoff after all this time. Is there a point with the body, though, where it's just sort of you got to tell yourself, okay, we're doing this again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I've up there with I don't know if I'm 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, like in most minutes in playoff history and the amount of games and the amount of playoff series. And I know I'm number 1 in minutes. I think there are 2 in regular season minutes or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I'm 40 years old. I'm in year 22. I've been in the postseason well over half of my career. I listen to the body, but it's about taking care of what I can take care of, controlling what I can control, and that's about getting sleep and, getting, the right food in me and, and keeping my mind sharp. Obviously, the body will do what the body do, but, as long as the mind is in tune, and I believe that, you can take it even further. So I'm just trying to give my teammates what I got, offensively, but more importantly, defensively, going down there, helping rebounding, crashing, being physical, also using my mind to be able to call out a lot of things that teams are doing, so we can be, ahead of a lot of plays as well. So we're not surprised by a lot of things. So, I'm just super, super happy and I don't take it for granted just to be able to play this game still. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do it. So, just try to take advantage of every moment you get.
You've talked about how belief is so important when it comes to this kind of thing. And obviously you yourself can get that belief from many years of experience and proof that you can do it. How do you instill that belief in your teammates who have less experience than you do?
By going out there and showing it by example. It's easy to go out and just talk about it. Hey, I've done this. Well, this is what yeah, but you also have to go out and lead by example. Listen, and I'm one of the guys that if I'm gonna talk about it, I'm actually gonna do it as well. I think that's a great way to be able to, hold yourself accountable. You can't ask of your teammates or people that go into battle with you or do these things or whatever the case, make sacrifices, all those things if you're not gonna do it. And I think I've always kind of had that mentality, like whatever I ask of my guys, whatever I ask of my teammates, they can ask of me, and I'm going to hold myself accountable anyways.
LeBron, on that note, on leadership, in the fourth quarter, you had a steal in what was a 9-point game. How much was that athleticism, being in the right place versus, I need to make a play at this point?
Well, they had numbers. I don't remember what happened. But I knew they had numbers, and I was crossing the floor, and I think Jaden McDaniels passed it to Ant at the time when he got it at half court. I think it was him. But I was coming across the floor, and obviously finding most dangerous is Ant. So I was able to kind of sneak in through the rear view, through the right side, and and was able to just kind of use my, I guess, athleticism and smarts or whatever the case may be, to kind of, if I wasn't able to steal it, at least I can make him change directions, and I was able to reach for the ball before he kind of, seen me in the blind spot, and I was able to steal it and go coast to coast it wasn't about the points. I think at that point it was about the momentum, that type of steal, that type of, play to be able to finish, in that moment. Cause they could have cut it to 6 or 4-point play. They could cut it to 5. So, for us to push it back to a double-digit lead at that point, with a little over 2 minutes, I think that was very key. Appreciate it, guys.
Here's a look at LeBron's performance tonight by the quarter. Obviously 21, 11, and 7. The thing that stood out to me, big game, 40 minutes at 40 years old in season 22. What are you kind of seeing?
Just continues to lead and, continues to show us how to, have longevity at this sport. He constantly talks about his craft and paying attention to the details. He really enjoyed that for him, that week off last week. Although I think some of the fire went away from the team, but look at that. I mean, who does that at 40? Unless you're playing in the 50 and over league, you might be able to get one of those. But
Bad News Brez checking in here. Lakers 1-7 in their last 8 in the city of Minneapolis, going back to December 2021. And you see the upcoming schedule. We'll be here Friday. We'll be playing, the Lakers will be playing Friday and Sunday in Minneapolis. Rob will be doing his baying at the moon. And I'll tell you what. Was that you, James?
That's all they do in Minnesota, man. That's all you're going to hear.
I had my back turned.
If you'd interview, you would know my voice a little bit better.
That's pretty good, James. The funny thing about the Lakers, though, I mean, if you look at their 1-7 record going back to 2021, the teams have changed so much just in the last few months. If you look at the two games the Lakers played there this year, they scored 87 points in one of them, the Lakers, and 80 in the other. But a completely new cast of characters now. Last tidbit about if you go back 4 years ago when this mini slump started for the Lakers, guess who had 16 rebounds for Minnesota that night? Jared Vanderbilt. That kind of shows you how much the turnover has been for these rosters. There is good news, though. Minnesota, not very good at home last year in the playoffs. In fact, they were 1-5 at home in their last two rounds a season ago. They lost all three at home to Dallas in that really crazy series.
Never know.
400 million?
I've been told. Speaking of, more to come on the post game.
A lot of cash, Rob.
This edition of Access, we'll hear from Anthony Edwards as the series prepares to ship to Minnesota on Friday.